Clifton-Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I'm grateful to catch your eye in this important debate. I'm going to concentrate my remarks solely on the West and Russia today, although I do have a great deal of experience in China. So by invading Ukraine, President Vladimir Putin is imposing misery upon the Ukrainian people, his own people, economic hardship on the rest of the world. Using military aggression to annex sovereign countries is a 19th century grand power concept in the 21st century world where we should be able to settle our differences in a more sophisticated way. Putin wants to go down in history as the leader who restored the Soviet Union. He is tough, he appears not to respect the West or its leaders, he will not back down easily now that he has invaded Ukraine. And we all know what is going on even at this very minute, how the whole of Ukraine is coming under pressure, and I think it will probably not be long before Kiev falls. It is completely false for Putin to claim that Ukraine, or at least parts of the Ukraine, belong to Russia due to historical ties. Following such tenuous logic, other well-established European sovereign states that were former members of the Soviet Union would also, in inverted commas, belong to Russia, including the Baltics, or even those countries that have historically fallen under the Russian sphere of influence, such as Finland and Romania. I imagine many of these countries that have borders with Russia today are feeling very nervous at this moment. The fact is that Ukraine has gained independence and has had democratic elections for 30 years this month. And indeed, as several honourable members, including my honourable friend who's just spoken, it gave up its atomic weapons following an agreement in 1994, which was backed by a peace agreement by Russia, America, and ourselves and other nations. And as my honourable friend from North Somerset said, it would be interesting to postulate what would have happened if Ukraine still had nuclear weapons. So whilst it is, the West has responded with solidarity so far, it is very much a first step. But we know from the annexation of Crimea in 2014, a first test by Putin on how the West would respond to his design on rebuilding Russian-Soviet legacy. We know that by responding weakly and leaving sanctions as soon as we possibly could has led, I believe, to the situation that we find ourselves in today. The decisive Western leadership at the end of the Cold War couldn't have been more different. The strong alliance between Thatcher and Reagan was crucial in the diplomacy that took place with Gorbachev and their combined policy leading to the end of the Cold War and the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. So what should our response now be, Mr. Deputy Speaker? The two main elements are military and economic. Regarding military support, I am pleased that for a number of years the UK has been supporting the defence and security of the Ukraine, helping to train over 22,000 members of the Ukrainian army, as well as we have helped provide expanding Ukraine's naval facilities and capability. There is plenty more military support that we can provide without sending British troops, and I welcome the Defence Secretary's recent announcements that defensive weapons we have been supplying, including light anti-tank armour and defensive weapon systems. But there is plenty more that we could be doing, and I look forward to the announcement that the PM is going to make at 5 o'clock this evening. We could, for example, be supplying anti-aircraft missiles, satellite communication intelligence on Russian troop movements, which would help the Ukraine plan their defence. We must continue to resupply the Ukraine military with anything that they need, and we must commit to do this until Russia leaves the sovereign country of Ukraine, so that Russia knows that it is not going to have an easy task in attacking Ukraine. So what concerns me and many of my constituents from the Cotswolds is the somewhat limited economic action we've taken so far. But as I've said, this is very much of a first step. We must look to much further economic sanctions. We should, for example, examine the fact that Putin is one of the world's richest men, his wealth estimated at 200 billion, largely distributed about the world in dollars. We should go after that money and freeze it, and we should go after the people who have helped him make that money. But furthermore, we should go after the oligarchs that surround Putin, because if we start to make them really uncomfortable in their pocket, perhaps sooner or later they will start to influence Putin. And we need to do this rapidly because people have the ability to move money around the world very quickly these days. We should have already passed an act in this Parliament as to how we can freeze the sovereign debt of the Soviet Union, how we can get into the SWIFT system and stop money getting in and out of the Soviet Union, and how we can stop them dealing in dollars. Because those measures will fairly soon, I know that one of the members, I think it was a member for Orkney and Shetland, said he has an arsenal of 650 billion, but that will very soon run down if we take effective economic measures. So I would say this afternoon that the West must stand together. It must impose a full set of economic sanctions. It must resupply Ukraine in any military way it possibly can without leading to full-scale troop insertions from the West. Above all, we must continue to give the Ukraine hope. We must keep their morale up. The Prime Minister was dead right to ring the President of Ukraine this morning at 12 o'clock to keep that morale up, and we must keep doing that.
Mark Logan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It's a great